Okay, well, I think we're going to get going this morning. Again, thank you for joining us. We're so glad you've all taken a little time out of your morning to hear another one of our events here on places around the world. We've been doing these events for the last couple of months, just trying to give inspiration, insight, give you ideas of where you could maybe go in the future. We know that the choice of traveling right now is a very personal choice, and that's perfectly fine. Some people are ready to get out the door tomorrow and try to do something as soon as they can. Others are waiting and being a little more cautious, and that's perfectly fine. And so what we're trying to do with these is at least give you information, give you inspiration so that you can pick out those bucket list destinations or trips you want to do, so that when we're all back out there ready to roll in the world, that you've got your plans, that you've maybe made some decisions about what you want to do next. I had someone that was responding to me the other day, and it was really a little, my heart kind of sank because they said we retired and our retirement plan was we were going to travel the world, and now we can't. But they were so excited though for when it's going to open up, and so that they can get going again, because their plans for retirement had kind of been put on hold. So again, it's about helping people think about those dreams and what those next places can be. Today we're going to be featuring Lindblad Expeditions, a wonderful okay, I'm having a hard time today. A wonderful excursion experience company that can take you around to places in the world that you wouldn't think you could go to. And here to represent that product today is Lisa Bain. And Lisa, for one thing, she's a wonderful presenter, but she has the most wonderful accent that makes me want to go anywhere that she's talking about. So I'm going to turn this over to Lisa, and I'm going to let her take it from here. And a couple of housekeeping notes. If you haven't done it already, up in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you can click on speaker view. If you do that, you will see the best picture of what's being presented, and you'll see Lisa's screen, and she'll share it here in a minute too. Yep. And then also, if you have questions, towards the bottom of your screen, especially if you're on a laptop or a computer, there's a chat, and if you have any questions, please submit them in the chat, and we will gladly answer all of your questions as we get to the end of the presentation. So Lisa, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Doug. And thanks everybody for participating today. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen so we can get this party started. You'll see a fantastic image of an emperor penguin down in Antarctica. And I'm just really excited to be here with the Carrousel Travel team. So I'm going to take you through some really amazing destinations that we visit. Not all of them. If I did that, we'd probably be here for 2 or 3 hours. So we've kind of handpicked some of the key, really cool, out of the way places that we travel. And then if you have questions, happy to take those at the end about any of the other places that we visit as well. So a little background on who Lindblad Expeditions are. We started back in 1966. Actually, we were the very first company with our founder, Lars Erik Lindblad, to head down to Antarctica. So we took the very first guests ever to Antarctica. So we really have the most experience in this really remarkable place. And Lars Erik believed that the only way to protect and preserve these remarkable places around the planet was to give them a voice. And that meant that we had to take like-minded, passionate people with us so they could come back and be a voice for the preservation of these places that we were taking them to. And his son, Sven Lindblad, has been at the head of the company now for over 40 years. And Sven has grown us from that one little red ship back in 66 to a whole fleet of small, intimate expedition vessels. Biggest ship we have is 148 guests, so very intimate. It's all about access. And he's also created some amazing alliances and partnerships, and I'll go into those in a little bit in a moment, but it is all about the expeditionary teams, about the men and women that travel with us around the world, so ornithologists, botanists, marine biologists, National Geographic photographers, and these men and women are by your side through throughout your expedition. And our photography program is a one of a kind. It's absolutely brilliant. From cell phones to full camera rigs, these amazing men and women are by your side throughout the expedition. Now, I talked about our alliances, and the key one, of course, is that National Geographic Society Alliance, which means we support the National Geographic Society financially so that they can do their good work. We often have their scientists or their team members aboard our ships exploring with us. And that means that we have that data and knowledge behind us to help you better understand these remarkable places that we're visiting. Now, we are a carbon neutral company. We have no single-use plastics on our ship. We actually have a self-disinfecting fleet, which means that every surface on our ship is covered with a photocatalytic system, which kills virus on contact. So for us, from the very, very beginning, it's been about sustainability, using sustainable produce on our ship, supporting local cultures and local communities, and putting money back into the communities so that they thrive. Our underwater dive team is, I think, one of the most remarkable parts of any of our trips, particularly in the colder climates, but their job is to dive and bring back remarkable images from beneath the ship. When you're on a vessel, 50% of the destination is beneath you. So if you don't have that opened up to you to understand it, that's a real loss to the experience. It's all about our cool tools for exploration, our hydrophones, our video microscopes, so we can look at the plankton and the level of the plankton in the waters, remote operated vehicles that can go down 1,000 feet and beam back cool video and images from beneath the ice flow. And of course, we have a videographer that's filming every aspect of every trip. And at the end, there's this remarkable National Geographic quality DVD to take home. We also have our Zodiacs. That's how we get ashore, paddleboards, kayaks, and all of that is included in the expeditionary experience. They're not an additional cost, they're included. This is Flip Nicklin, one of our National Geographic photographers. And on most of the trips I'm talking to you about today, Antarctica, the Arctic, you have a National Geographic photographer in residence. And their job is to help you get the most remarkable photos of your life. And that's backed up by a B&H photo locker, which means there's all this cool equipment that you can test drive when you're out in the field. New camera bodies, lenses, Swarovski crystal binoculars, and all of that is included in your expedition as well. Just touching on the fact that we know multi-generational family travel is huge, and we have a Global Explorers program for our under 18-year-old guests, and that's on all of our Alaska, Galapagos, and Baja. But family is really, really important to us, as is amazing service, great food, and all the things you expect when you're on a ship. But understanding these are small, intimate vessels getting you to places way outside of where normal ships can access. And because of our size, it really is about the luxury of access. So I want to touch on Antarctica. This is an hour in itself, so I'm going to zoom through here, but Antarctica is one of the most remarkable places. The peninsula, this which is jutting out there at the top left-hand corner of your screen, that's where the predominance of ships are going to go. That is this remarkable area that provides you with access to glaciers and amazing wildlife and spectacular ice. And because we've been doing this for over 54 years, our ice captains and our team really have the most knowledge and experience in the region. And it is all about getting down there across that Drake Passage, which is an intrinsic part of the experience. I mean, following in the footsteps of Scott and Shackleton and all these amazing explorers, and the divergence and the amazing wildlife that you see as you cross the Drake and that anticipation of arrival. But it is about that amazing experience down on the peninsula. Now, we're there from end of October to February, and there's some different experiences you're going to have at different times of the month. And this is where Carousel Travel is really going to help you pick what month to go based on what you want to see. So early in the season, it's about big ice and being able to push the ship into the ice and go hiking and walking and cross-country skiing. As you head towards later in the season, that ice starts to break up, but always you've got the different penguin species, adeles, gentoos, amazing opportunities to see them on the ice floe as we're coming into Antarctica and on the beaches as we approach, leopard seals, Weddell seals, and they're very happy to sit as we come closer in the Zodiacs and pose for photography. But being able to learn about what they are eating down there, Leopard seals actually eat they do eat penguins. However, they also eat a lot of plankton. They have really funky teeth that are shaped like broccoli. And so as they take a huge mouthful of plankton, they close their mouth, push the water out through these broccoli shaped teeth. And then they've got this lovely crunchy little meal of plankton. So you're learning all this really cool information. This is early season. Being able to push into the sea ice, go cross-country skiing, hiking, have the opportunity to get out and stand on that frozen ocean is really a remarkable opportunity. As you get into the end of December, you're starting to see the chicks spawn, that ice is breaking up, so no longer skiing on the frozen sea ice. But now you're seeing those baby chicks with their heads sticking out from under the nest. And as you get into the end of December, early January, the beaches are starting to clear of snow and ice. We've got a little bit more of an opportunity to go hiking, get out there, nothing like a few snow angels up on the top of a crest overlooking Antarctica. And then as you head into the end of January, those babies are starting to grow very quickly. And now you're starting to see all those whales. Now we see whales throughout. However, now they're starting to mass for migration. And so the chance of seeing larger numbers is brilliant as you head towards the end of February. So from a wildlife perspective, always make sure you let us know what it is you want to see, what you want to experience, because then we'll get you there at the right time so we can give you the opportunity to see these remarkable animals up close and very personal. This is a minke whale. We have a great little video of some folks out in a kayak who spent nearly an hour with a minke whale just sliding alongside them. And that's another big thing about expedition. We're not on a time schedule except that of the wildlife. If we see whales and we want to go up on deck and spend an afternoon, we can do that because we are led by the experience. I did want to let you know we have this great new itinerary for 21, which is Patagonia and Antarctica. So often clients are looking for an opportunity to see these remarkable fjords and then head down across to the peninsula. So we have added that to our range of itineraries. The other big thing is South Georgia. South Georgia is the Serengeti of the Southern Ocean. These are remarkable wildlife experiences. So we do this as a South Georgia and the Falklands, or a bigger trip, which is Antarctica, South Georgia and the Falklands. That's a 24-day investment in time, but it is so worth the experience because this is about elephant seals and being there where the pups are whelping and they're laying on the beach, or the big males are showing off, the opportunity to get off, and some amazing photography. But this is king penguins, and not just a few king penguins. This is 100,000 king penguins on one beach. So that's South Georgia Island. So imagine early morning going ashore when these guys are waking up. You've got the king penguins, you've got elephant seals, you've got albatross overhead, the sheer noise and the experience, and yes, the smell. It is just life-changing to be able to see these amazing animals up close and very personally in South Georgia. And then that history. This is where Shackleton is buried. This is where he and a few of his men rowed across from Antarctica when they were stranded, arrived on the other side of the island, and then had to climb over the island to get to the whaling station on the other side for help to rescue the remainder of their men. But we do get the opportunity to go to his burial site and spend a little time really understanding what it was like to explore these remote regions 100 years ago. Just as a teaser, we also have a brilliant 35-day itinerary, which takes our guests all the way from Ushuaia down along the peninsula, along that western coast of Antarctica, into the Ross Ice Shelf, and then up through those sub-Antarctic islands located beneath New Zealand. So think of the Snares Island, Macquarie Island, and there's a couple of wonderful penguins that, particularly the Snare Yellow-eyed penguin, which you can't see anywhere else in the world. So that's a wonderful opportunity if you are into collecting as you cross that entire. And now we're going to shift from far south to far north. And I always get the question, people will always say to me, I want to go to the Arctic. Okay, the Arctic is in multiple places. The Arctic is so many options, and it's cultural and it's wildlife and it's both. And so you really need to think about what it is you want to get out of your Arctic experience. Often it is about the polar bear. And we do an amazing itinerary which takes you up to Svalbard. So you fly into Oslo, fly up to Svalbard early in the season when we've got that great sea ice, because that's where the bears will be. They will be out on the sea ice with their cubs, feeding. And that's when we're going to get the opportunity to come up relatively close to them and observe them in their natural habitat. And it really is, along with the polar bear, you also have walrus, you have great opportunities to walk on the tundra as it's waking up. It is a remarkable destination. For those that want to spend a little more time, you can have our Norway and Svalbard, so you get those fjords and the wildlife. So this is a great one if you want more of a cultural component and a wildlife component. You'll see there's a great little island there. It's called Bear Island. There are no bears. It's actually a bird haven. So it is brilliant if you're a photographer or you're a birder. That is one of the best places to see a very vast range of bird life as we head across into Svalbard. But once again, ending in Svalbard with those amazing ice bears, the polar bear. A whole range of brand new itineraries. We have a brand new ship, the National Geographic Endurance, and I'm going to show you some sneak peeks of her at the end of this. But she is offering some great trips from Norway across to the east coast of Greenland, down to the west coast of Iceland, circumnavigations of Iceland. Because of this ship's Ice Class 5 rating, that's not her, that's our National Geographic Explorer, but we have all these wonderful new destinations that have opened up in the Arctic. And also we can go in earlier and stay later with an opportunity to see the Northern Lights in September. So you have not only wildlife in Greenland on the east and west coast of Greenland, but you have Iceland, full circumnavigations, or that beautiful western coast of Iceland, which is really rugged, great puffin colonies, wonderful little islands to visit like Flatey Island, and just the sheer beauty of Iceland and Greenland. We also do a great trip that takes in the Faroe Islands. Believe it or not, there's a Michelin star restaurant on the Faroe Islands. We also do a stunning Northeast Passage. So if you can imagine, this is all the way from Tromsø in Norway across the top of Russia to Nome, Alaska. And this takes in walrus, polar bear, the history of the region, Bering. The Wrangel Islands has the highest number of polar bears in one place in the world. We have seen it on days where it looks like there's sheep grazing on the side of the mountain. And so from a polar bear perspective, you don't get up close because they're on land. And of course, we don't want to go on land. You'll only get to do that once. But this is just a remarkable itinerary and option to see that entire rugged Northeastern Passage. And you guys are the first to know, because this only came out this morning, we will actually be returning to the Northwest Passage on our new ship, the Resolution, the sister to the Endurance, in 2022. That's not even in our booking system yet, but if you are interested in the Northwest Passage, make sure you let Doug and the team know, because that will sell out particularly quickly. As I said, we do that wonderful trip up to Wrangel Island. That's all about the polar bears. You have trips that take you around the entire Bering Sea. So this is all those little islands up across to Petropavlos, there's a Ponova River, up to the Commander Islands, which has amazing groups of rafting sea otters, all the way across the Chukotka Pass coast and up into Providenia for more of a cultural component, and then ending in Nome. And then I wanted to share these three because these are brand new. On the National Geographic Orion, we are heading from Nome all the way to Japan. So imagine that entire Russian eastern coast down through Zaponova River, Petropavlos, down through those little islands that chain all the way to the top of Japan, ending in Nagata, and then our guests going to Tokyo for an overnight, which is just a brilliant opportunity to not only see the Russian, but all that upper part of Japan. The secondary part of these is the coastal region of Japan, heading across to Korea for the Shilla dynasty history, and then ending in Kobe, before we then head down through the Ryukyu Islands or Okinawa. And this trip has great snorkeling and diving on it because we head down through those Kurama Islands into the top of Taiwan. Those are 3 stunning new itineraries for 2021. So Russia and Japan, and then Japan all the way to Taiwan. I do want to touch on Galapagos. We were the very first company into the Galapagos Islands way back in 1967. These islands are located off the coast of Ecuador. Every one of them is different. They have their own endemic species. Being on a small ship is the perfect way to explore the Galapagos, because when you go to sleep, the ship moves, you wake up and you're on a new island. And each of these islands is very different from a topography, a geology, and also from a wildlife perspective. You know, one of the big things there is the giant tortoises. Going up into the highlands, being able to see these remarkable animals and learning about how the tide has turned and they really are starting to come back due to all the work through the Darwin Center and a lot of the funds that we've provided to the Galapagos Darwin Center. But it is about remarkable wildlife, from the marine iguanas that shoot salt out through their nose, Sally Lightfoot crabs. This is the opportunity for wet landings each day, going ashore with your photographers and your naturalists, coming back for lunch and then exploring somewhere else in the afternoon. What's really important with Lindblad is we know not everybody wants to do the same thing. So each day there are options. There may be a long hike, a short hike, a snorkel, kayaking, paddleboarding, or perhaps just a Zodiac safari. So you get to choose the speed at which you explore these really remarkable areas. But Galapagos, from a family perspective, multi-generational, it is absolutely breathtaking. The wildlife here has absolutely no fear. You sit still, they come to you. Of course, we have a no touch rule. We don't want to imprint on them, but it is truly remarkable how close, and you are their interest. They want to come and learn about you. Just quickly, Alaska. We've been up in Alaska for, gosh, close to 40 years. And I love this photo because this is us. See those 2 big ships on this screen? Now look in the center, there's a tiny little ship. That's us, 100 guests, 22 balcony suites. It is all about access in Alaska. We avoid towns, we avoid other people. Our focus is to get you out into the wildness of Alaska. When you come into a quiet little bay where there's hundreds of otters with their young around the ship, and there's so many bald-headed eagles in the trees, they look like white Christmas ornaments. Being able to hike in, see where the bears have scratched on the trees, have your naturalist get you down onto the ground on your hands and knees or against a tree to look at the moss. We actually had an amazing PhD on board last year when I traveled, and her focus was lichen and moss. And we were all up against trees, down in the grass. And it's the tiny things that if you don't have remarkable men and women like this, that you will miss. You're looking always for the big things. But beneath our feet in Alaska are orchids and small carnivorous plants. I mean, it is just a little fairy wonderland beneath your feet that is just so wonderful to know is there. We have a brand new trip that is now in Alaska with us, and this is the Spirit Bears. So this is on the west coast of British Columbia, and it is an amazing opportunity to see these remarkable white black bears. You know, the trip itself is absolutely stunning, but hopefully we'll get the chance to see these remarkable guys. And that's new for 2021. So add to that all the other places we go, from California to Baja, the Sea of Cortez, where we get to see the amazing up close gray whales where the mums give birth in Magdalena Bay, and they'll push their young to the surface. And if we're really lucky, they will share their young with us so we can reach out and give them a bit of a scratch, and they love that. But just to be in the presence of these remarkable whales is really awe-inspiring. The South Pacific, we do multiple islands, the Marquesas, great diving. We have 2 dive masters on these trips, down to Tahiti, Bora Bora, and we're there on the National Geographic Orion every year in the middle of the year from about May through August. And as I said, spectacular snorkeling and diving. We have a stunning itinerary in Egypt. We have a ship, the Oberoi Philae, which is absolutely brilliant. And we do an Egypt itinerary starting in Cairo with time at the Ritz. And then there's also a brilliant Jordan extension that can be added to that. But that ship is absolutely stunning and a brilliant way to explore in Egypt. And then, of course, if you're a sailor, the Sea Cloud, one of the most remarkable high master ships. This is Marjorie Merriweather Post's original sailing ship, but she does the Caribbean and the Dalmatian coast and the Greek Isles. And then, of course, places like the Mekong and the Amazon. So we are all over the planet. And what we've just introduced earlier this year, just in time for COVID, was our brand new ship, the National Geographic Endurance. So this ship is going to do the polar regions with her sister, the Resolution, which joins us in September. These two ships are 126 guests. 126 guests, so 69 staterooms and suites, 75% of those with balconies. This is a stunning, state-of-the-art, purpose-built expedition ship. For us, the places that we go require a very gentle touch, and they are best served by a very small, intimate ship that can get you to places that the biggest ships cannot go. So for us, particularly Antarctica, where you have a 100-person limit on the ice at any one time, with 126 guests, we can have guests on the ice, guests doing a Zodiac safari. Everyone is moving off the ship all the time. You're not wasting time waiting on a vessel. But she is absolutely beautiful and will be back in the water, hopefully in March, April. But everything that you need. And then we're going to tell you to get off because that's the reason you're there. The open bridge on this ship, we have an open bridge policy on all our vessels, but the open bridge is remarkable. The entire expedition team and our guests can fit up there with the captain. And there's no better place to do wildlife spotting when you're heading across the Drake Passage or up in those Arctic areas. And, you know, stunning staterooms. Category 7s on the top floor have a separate bedroom, living area. You've got that lovely balcony, walk-in wardrobes, lovely bathrooms. So for us, this is a stunning, stunning platform for exploration. So with that, I'm going to open up the floor for some questions, a lot that we've covered. And of course, that's just a sneak peek at all the places that we visit around the world. But most importantly, we really want you to bring along with you your sense of adventure and that sense of wonder, because that's what we want to share with you. So Doug, do we have any questions?
Thank you, Lisa. So inspiring to look at all of that. And I really need to go see those polar bears. That one has been definitely on my list, but everything there is so inspiring and just so amazing. We don't have any questions in our chat at the moment, but if anyone has any, please let us know yet. And do we have a special offer from you, Lisa, as well?
We do. If someone is looking to book with Carrousel between now and December 12th, we'll add a $200 shipboard credit to your booking on the Lindblad National Geographic fleet. So we do have a couple of ships that we charter. That's not available on those, but any of the ships that have the Lindblad National Geographic name, we'll add that $200 shipboard credit. And look, there are so many remarkable places that we visit, and I know the team at Carrousel has been sharing us with their clients for many, many years. We've had a lot of clients that have traveled with us more than once. You know, Galapagos and Alaska are certainly great stepping off points if you've not done an expedition before. But I will tell you, if you've ever done Africa, Antarctica needs to be on your list. It is the next great wildlife experience. It's a great bookend to a safari, and we'd love to be able to share it with you.
Yes, clients who have done that have nothing but rave reviews about it. And I do have to say that everyone that we've had that has experienced Lindblad just has nothing but great things to say about it. The experience, the focus on the wildlife, the flora and fauna, all the different places around the world. And I know that people, once they've experienced it, they want to do it again. Yeah. And something also that you do see some as well of, Lisa, is that we see some families are multi-generational doing these things as well, correct?
Yeah, a lot of family and multi-generational. That Global Explorers program that we have was put together with National Geographic Education. And so on every Galapagos, Alaska, and Baja trip, anybody who's under 18 is automatically flagged as a global explorer, and they have special educators on board. And it's a great way for them to really understand what they're seeing and learning. It's a brilliant program. And we see a lot of families in Antarctica as well.
That's really, you don't always think of it that way, but it really is an educational experience for everyone.
Very much.
I do have one question that has come in, and it's kind of a general question, and I'm not sure how I'm going to put it out there. Has COVID affected your work a lot?
Well, sadly,
it's affected
yes.
sailings, but
yeah. Yeah, look, it has. We've not been in the water since March, which I can tell you, when you make expedition people stay at home, that's a really hard thing
they
for
don't
them
want
to do.
to stay home, do they?
They don't like it. Look, we've actually got very comprehensive protocols, which I'll be sharing with Doug, that he can share with you guys. We hope to be back in the water in January. We're working very hard towards that. Of course, a lot of that comes down to the countries that will let us all back in, right? So we're all kind of at their mercy a little. But one of the things we've been doing is, like we're doing here today with Doug and the Carrousel team, is, just because we can't travel right now, we can't dream about the places that we want to go. And I think one of the things that we're seeing is, people used to say they had this bucket list, and it was a bucket list meant it was out in the future, right? It was 5 years from now, 6 years from now. And what I'm seeing is a lot of people are saying, this world is a little different, and do we know that we're going to get to be able to do these things 5-10 years from now? So we're starting to see a lot of people do these bigger trips and start to plan them closer in, and leave maybe the local travel till later. So, and look, Antarctica, it doesn't matter what age you are. It is, I can't explain the emotional feeling you will have when you leave it. You will spend the rest of your life trying to go back there. I think you get the same connection you do with Africa. But so, yeah, it has affected us. We will get through this. Financially, Lindblad is an extremely strong company. We're working towards just getting back out there and sharing what we love. And, under tourism does not serve these places well. The money that we put into these regions to support them and care for them is very important. And so for us, it is very important that we get back there to ensure their survival for the next generation.
And it is actually really interesting that you brought up the bucket list trips, and we are seeing that a lot of people during this situation with COVID are saying, like I mentioned before, someone who retired and traveling was going to be what they were going to do. And suddenly when they can't do that, some of those priorities suddenly change, and that they're thinking, well, when this does open up, I'm going to do those things I've always wanted to do and have been maybe saying, in a year or 2 or 3. And now they're saying, when I can, I'm going to get back out there, because the future could be kind of uncertain. We've done this once. Hopefully we don't experience this again. But it is really interesting. It changes your mindset about the priorities of what you want to see that was on your list, and that order of what's on that list may change. And so that's really interesting. So I don't have any additional questions at this point. What I want to do is just, again, encourage everyone that, we're here. You can reach us. We know that other resources out there right now might not be available, but Carrousel is there. Our offices are, our virtual offices are open. We're all working, and we're here to help answer questions. Even if you're not, you're not ready to do something right now, that's okay. Reach out to us and start the conversation, and just say, that was, something I really would like to do. I want to put it on my list, or keep me informed of things when they happen. And we just want to start the conversation with you, so that those bucket list things, or maybe they weren't bucket, maybe they were just regular list things as well, are attainable, and that when it's right for you, that we can make it happen for you. So there's no cost or obligation to just ask questions and engage and talk to us, and we'd love to do that. And Lisa, I just thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to see you. It's always a pleasure to talk with you and learn from your expertise on the exotic places around the world and the products that you offer. And again, just thank you very much. Thank you everyone for attending and taking a little time. We hope we've provided some inspiration for you. I see someone asked a question if we're doing more of these. We have been doing these every 2 weeks, every Thursday. We call them Thirsty Thursdays because everyone's kind of thirsty to travel. So, but you can bring your coffee or whatever beverage you might like to join our time. Our next 2-week session would be on Thanksgiving Day. So we are not doing one on Thanksgiving Day, but we will continue to post additional ones. We'll probably be doing another one at least in December before we get to the holidays. So please watch for those additional pieces of information. We'd love to have you join us for more. And again, reach out to us. Let us know how we can help you. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks, everyone.
Pleasure. Thanks,
Have
guys.
a great day.
Thank you.
Take care.